The demon dactyl's awakening didn't seem such a momentous thing, just a gradual stirring in a deep cave in a far empty mountain. But the demon spirit had awakened, had come back to Corona. How many decades, even centuries had passed since it last walked this world? The creature remembered that long ago time, savored the thoughts of streaming blood as army after army had joined in delicious, desperate battle, and it cursed the name Terran and Dionial, who had rallied the humans and elves, chasing the Dactyl's armies back to the base of this mountain, Ada. Dionial himself had come to this cave after the beast. He skewered the Dactyl, banishing it from Corona. But that was the past. Dionial was long dead. The Dactyl was eternal. The demon would summon its minions, bloodthirsty goblins, mighty Fomorian giants, and the cunning seafaring dwarven powers, creating an army of woe to sweep across the world, leaving chaos and death in its wake. The twilight of Corona was at hand. Lying in the northern wilderness of the kingdom of Hans the Bear, Dandalis was a small frontier community, populated by simple, hard-working folk. Though only 12 summers, Elbrian Winden was large for his age, which along with his even temperament and quick hand, had made him somewhat of a leader among Dandalis' children. But that wouldn't last long. Next spring he would hunt with the adults, the games of his youth left behind. Still, there was time yet for a few adolescent adventures. "Jilly, take your coat, or you'll catch your death." The girl's name was Gillespie Alt, though no one ever called her that. To her parents and the adults, she was Jill or Jilly, but to Elbrian, she would always be known by her secret name, the one Gillespie liked most of all. "Pony!" "You're late. I'm early, too early, and I'm tired." "Come on, it'll be worth it, I promise." Shortly, "I've never seen the halo so clearly. I told you." And that's not all. "The hunting party. My father said they'd be back today. Come on, let's see what they got." "I bet it's an elk. No, a caribou." "You're wrong. It's a white-tailed deer or... At the same time, far to the south, the class of God's year 816 had arrived at St. Mirabel, the most prominent monastery in all Hans the Bear. Of the 2,000 who had begun the grueling training to gain admittance to the Abelican order, only 25 remained, and among them, Evelyn Despris. Piety, dignity, poverty, that is what awaits you within these walls. Do you willingly enter the service of God? Yes, say I. Show then your desire. Pass ye the gauntlet of willing suffering. Evelyn heard the slaps of wood and the groans of his fellows, but so strong was his meditation that he did not even feel the blows. All his life, Evelyn had wanted to live in service to God, and all his life he had dreamed of this day. This resolve was not lost on Father Abbot Marquardt, nor any of the other monks watching. Not one in several years had walked the gauntlet of willing suffering without complaint. You have completed your final test. Welcome then, brothers. Welcome to Saint Mirabel. The dead goblin had caused quite a stir in Dundalis, and for days afterward men had walked patrols outside the village, fearing the creature was a scout for a larger force. But by the end of the second week, with a harvest calling, the adults had ceded their patrols to Elbrian and his troop of children. A clear sign the villagers felt safe once again. You three, take the northern trails, the rest of you go west. Sound the signal if you see anything. The children would patrol, while Elbrian and Pony coordinated them from the high ridge, giving the two friends a great deal of private time together. A situation which both frightened and excited Elbrian, who was starting to see Pony as more than just a playmate, and she him. Shh. Pony, did I do something wrong? Can you smell that? What? Smoke. The goblins had come upon Dundalis with unimaginable speed, seeming to appear from the forest as if by magic. Within minutes, they were inside the village. And the killing began. The hardy villagers fought back as best they could, but in the end the goblins' bloodlust and sheer numbers overwhelmed them. No man, woman, or child escaped Dundalis alive that day. And the village was reduced to ash. Pony, wait! We have to help them! Giant! Run! No, Go! I'll hold him off for as long as I can. Please. Stay back. I'm a skilled swordsman.
You're sure this is the right one? It doesn't look like much. I am. The boy will be of use to us. He has the blood of Mather.
Evelyn had assumed that as a member of the Abeligan Order, his days would be spent in prayer. He was wrong. The older monks put Evelyn and his fellow novices to work almost immediately. They spent their mornings drawing water. And tending to the monastery gardens. Their afternoons consisted of martial training, learning to use their fists and feet as weapons. Evelyn hated these sessions, in large part due to another member of his class, Quintal. A strong, athletic youth who took great pleasure in besting Evelyn at every opportunity. In the evenings, the wary young monks were taught the history, lore, and scripture of the Awakens Church, then allowed to meditate on what they had learned. A fact which did not go unnoticed. Evelyn is the best of his class, some say the best in many years. He is without passion, Brother Jojona. Passion or not, the preparers must be selected from the class, or one of the 3 previous. And Evelyn Desperis shows the most promise. Are you jealous, Brother Sherton? It was our misfortune to be born between the showers, but we have our duty. Father Abbot Marquardt is quite pleased with young Desperis. He has given me permission to show Evelyn the ring stones. A man without passion, without worldly lusts, is hard to control. Desperis will do as he's told. It is, after all, God's will. Evelyn didn't know why he'd been summoned by Brother Jojona, but he knew it was important. The older monk led him deep into the bowels of the monastery, where only the highest-ranking Awakens were allowed to tread. The ring stones are the heavenly gifts of Saint Mirabel, Evelyn. We are the keepers of the stones. It is our most holy duty. The stones are the proof of our faith. Who gathered these stones, Evelyn? The brothers of Saint Mirabel. From where? They fall from the sky, from the halo. And where do they land? I do not know. An island, Pimeniniquit. That is the only place that sacred stones may be collected. They do not come to ground often, but they do fall regularly, once every 173 years, and you, my fortunate novice, live in the time of the showers. Each of the stones possesses a specific power. Rubies make fire, hematite allows you to walk outside your body, and the graphite creates lightning. Don't be afraid, Evelyn. You'll come to know each of these stones, to understand their magic. You will be among those selected few to make the journey to Pimeniniquit. I thank you, brother. Thank me after you return. The trip is a long and dangerous one. But you're young, strong, and full of God's voice. You'll make us proud. Elbrian didn't know how long he had slept. The last thing the boy remembered was the roar of the giant and the sickening smell of smoke filling the air. But there was no giant here and no smoke. Elbrian wasn't in the woods outside Dandalis anymore. He was somewhere else. Hello? Pony? Pony, where are you? Please, don't be dead. I can't survive this, but only with you. I need you, Pony. I need you.
A very needy young boy. Have some sympathy, Tonton. Ah, why does the world need rangers anyway?
Three other preparers were chosen in addition to Evelyn, Thurgrain and Palomar, from the class of 815, and Quintal. Together the four studied the halo and the astronomical charts that would determine the time of the showers. They learned of seamanship, how to navigate by the stars of the night sky, of sailing, sea etiquette, and the rules of the wide waters. But most important, they learned the properties of the various stones and how they must prepare them immediately after the shower to preserve their magic, all under the watchful gaze of brothers Jojona and Sayerton. Yet, while each of the four showed some talent with the stones, none could match Evelyn. After only 2 weeks, his predictions of astronomical shifts were perfect, and within the first month, he could recite all the known magical stones and their properties. The knowledge gave him power. Evelyn's feel for the stones, his ability to draw out their magic, was equal to the monks who had studied them for decades. Or perhaps some believed greater. Lightning! A skill which earned him the praise of Brother Jojona and the envy of his fellows. Brother Jojona's tales of your accomplishments have sparked my curiosity, young Desperis. I would see proof of them for myself. Do you recognize these stones, Evelyn? Yes, Father Abbot. Ruby, malachite, amber, and serpentine. Good. What am I supposed to do with them? That is your test. The puzzle is before you. Sort it out. Evelyn could feel the magic of the stones throbbing in his hands. These weren't the training gems he'd been using. There was true power here, especially in the ruby, which would be dangerous to use anywhere near Saint Mirabel. And then, suddenly Evelyn knew what to do. Evelyn used the malachite first, floating down from the high monastery wall, then amber to walk across the waves. When he was far enough away, Evelyn used the serpentine to create a magical shield around himself. Then at last, it was time for the ruby. The stone's power coursed through Evelyn, burning his flesh, his very soul, longing for release. He is dead. Not even the greatest among us could survive a blast like that. Sayerton's right, Jojona. We asked too much of the boy. I'm sorry, I have failed. Some of the flames got through. You haven't failed, child. Far from it. You will be one of the chosen pair who will go into the island of Pimeniniquit. You shall serve God. Serve God. Elbrine had wandered the strange, endless forest for days, if not weeks. Time had little meaning in this place. There were no paths here, no beasts or birds, not even the chirping of insects. It was as if the boy had left the world he knew behind, as if he were dead. I'm dead.
No, you're not. And that you've survived this long proves you're ready to begin your training.
What training? Who are you? Where am I?
I am Bellamar Jaraviel. And this is Unbroken, home of the TETHER, the elves.
And Pony? My father? Are they all right?
Though it pains me to say it, none survived the sack of Dandalis save you. But know this, your time here will not be unpleasant, unless you make it so. There are those among my people who do not believe you belong here, but some of us see Mather in you.
I know of no person by that name.
Mather was the brother of your father. Most believe he died young, but that isn't true. We brought him here and trained him to be a great warrior, a legendary ranger who protected the Northlands for decades until his death. You have been chosen to take his place.
And if I don't want to?
That is not your choice to make. Hear me clearly, young one. You aren't a prisoner, yet you aren't free. As long as you remain in Unbroken, your training and conduct must be controlled. Stray away from the rules at your own peril.
Rules? Training? I don't understand.
You will. But for now, eat, drink, and rest. Your new life begins with the rising of the sun.
With the next sun, Elbrand began each day gathering millstones from Unbroken's murky bog, then emptying their contents into a long trough, where he would be made into the strong elven wine called Bogle. It was hard work, and Elbrand's arms ached before he was halfway through, but this was the easy part of his training. At midday a hot meal was laid out for him deep in the forest, but getting to it proved more than difficult. The elves loved nothing more than laying traps for the clumsy human. And rare was the day Elbrand didn't eat his lunch cold. Then came weapons training with Tun-Tun, always a humiliating experience. Elbrand had once considered himself something of a fighter. He was nothing compared to the speed and skill of the elf maiden, a fact which seemed to delight Tun-Tun to no end.
Blundering oaf? Blood of Mather. Huh.
At nightfall, Elbrand returned to the clearing to rest his body and dream of his father of Dandalis and most of all, of Pony. So the days passed into weeks, the weeks months, and the months years. Though not a large establishment, Fellowship Way was reportedly the finest inn in all the great city of Palmaris. This was due in large part to its proprietors, Jarivas Chilachunk and his wife Patiwa, who were renowned for their hospitality and generosity. Corner table cat? They called her Cat the Stray, for that was what she was. Years ago, Jarivas had found her half-starved and with no idea where she'd come from, not even her own name, on a trading mission to the Wilderlands. The sight of Cat had touched his heart, and he'd taken the poor lost girl in, raising her as if she was his own. Everything that had come before seemed murky and unreal, nothing but screams, blood, and fire. Ha 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 ha. As if she'd stepped out of a nightmare. Watch your hand or next time you lose it. Well, You've shown me. What? I came over to save you, but it seems they're the ones who needed rescuing. Connor Bildeborough of Chasewing Manor at your service. I'm Cat. I know. Cat, table 4. I have to go. Of course. I have no doubt we'll see each other again. Saint Mirabel. Brother Quintal, Brother Pelomar, Brother Thurgrain, and Brother Evelyn, you have spent these many years preparing for this day. The Windrunner will take you to Pimeniniquit, and there you shall witness the glory of the divine. Go with the gods' graces. Evelyn knew the voyage would be difficult. 8 months crossing an ocean filled with dangers, great serpents, powers, and other things too horrible to have names. Yet, he couldn't help but smile. Evelyn truly believed this to be his destiny. And at long last, it was within reach. The coming autumn would be Elbrian's 5th in Enderblock Innis, and Jaraviel's exhausting training regime had paid off. No longer a gangly youth, he was tall, more than 3 times the size of any elf, and incredibly strong. Elbrian dodged even the most elaborate elven traps with ease now, and when he sat down to eat his midday meal, it burned his tongue. Elbrian still couldn't best Tuntun when they sparred, but he had made progress. He didn't embarrass himself anymore. The boy may not be Mather yet, Jaraviel thought, but he was well on his way. Palmares. The night after they'd first met, Connor had come back to Fellowship Way, and every night since, though not for the food or drink. Petitbois told her the Bildeboroughs were a noble family, and while she would never pressure Cat into anything, it was clear Petitbois thought the handsome, charming Connor an excellent match. So when he'd invited her for a walk, Cat accepted. Jarivis found me in a place called Weedy Meadows. Have you ever heard a name so foolish? Ha! Cat quickly found Connor was as easy to talk to as he was to look at, yet something about being so close to him made her nervous. As if there were some monstrous entity just out of sight waiting to ruin their happiness. I'll come back tomorrow, but only if you so desire. He was going to kiss her, Cat knew, and a part of her wanted him to, but another part screamed out in fear. Violent images invaded the girl's mind, fragments of memories from Cat's life before Jarivis and Petitbois that chilled her very soul. May I, Cat? No. I mean, not Cat, Jilly. Jilly? Or Jill. Jill, not Cat. I remember my name. I have to tell Petitbois. Yes, good. And tomorrow, Cat? Jill? The Windrunner left the kingdom of Hans the Bear behind, sailing across the Mirianic Ocean. Evelyn and Thurain, the two who had been chosen to go ashore at Pimeniniquit, spent their days deep in study. While Quintal and Palomar watched over the crew, not an easy task. Few of the sailors had ever been out this far, and the presence of 4 monks on their ship made them uncomfortable. Still, the king's ransom they'd been promised, upon delivering the initiates safely home, kept the peace for now. And so the voyage continued, deeper and deeper into the vast azure sea. Block Inanes. Where's Jaraviel? We were supposed to spend this afternoon studying plants in the forest.
Jaraviel was called away. Today you're mine.
Tantan's sharp, ever-present mocking tone set Elbrine on edge. He'd dueled the elf maiden almost every day since he'd arrived in the Tualathar homeland, and while Tantan was incredibly skilled, Elbrine had memorized her every attack and parry. In time, he knew he'd best her. Now was as good as any.
Too slow. Fool. Yeah. I yield. I thought you had overstepped your ability, but your recovery was truly remarkable.
Elbrine suspected he should be elated, but in truth, he hardly knew how to react.
Blood of Mather.
After so many long years, he had scored his first win. Palmaris. Connor and Jill took things slowly, very slowly. He sensed the way she tensed every time he moved near her, saw her turn away, face flushed with frustration. At first, Connor had taken this rejection personally, despite Jill's proclamations otherwise. But in time, the young noble came to see it as a challenge. To Connor, Jill became the ultimate prize, one he was determined to win. Connor proposed on the last day of autumn in God's year 821, and Jill accepted. She was not sure she loved Connor, but she knew she liked him a great deal. And her wedding nobility would drastically improve Gervais and Petit's lives. After all they had given her, this was the least Jill could do for them. The ceremony went off perfectly. Solemn yet joyous, ladies crying, men standing tall and handsome. It was custom in Hans the Bear for a noble wedding to be followed by a celebratory ball, but Connor had refused any such event. He had other more pressing needs. It's beautiful. No, you're beautiful. My Jilly. No, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm your husband. By law, I do as I please with you. You have kept me waiting for all these months. I have dreamed about you, about this night. Nothing else in all the world matters but this night. No, please, I beg you. Connor, please, no! Ugh. Please, I'm sorry. Take her out of here and lock her in a room. We shall let the magistrate determine her fate in the morning. The Windrunner had been at sea for more than 200 days when they sighted the barrel boat, an event which turned even the most hardened sailor white with terror. Priority raiders, and they're gaining! How? Their ship has no sail. Doesn't need one. The dwarves battle, turning a shaft to a great fan aft of the ship. Then we can outrun them. They'll get tired. Pirates don't get tired. We can't let them capture the ship. Do you have any spare netting, Captain? Aye. Why? Their barrel boat won't move so swiftly with its fan entangled. A brave notion, monk, but the Windrunner is a ship of cold northern waters. As a habit, my men don't swim. We do. Come, Evelyn. You're sure this is wise, Quintal? If they ram us, we won't reach Pimeneniquet in time. This is the only way. Besides, only 2 of us need to survive to gather the stones. Well done! Well... Yeah! You'll die this day, humans! Thorgrain, take Palomar back to the ship, quickly! Use the gem! Use the gem! Father Abbot Marquardt had given Evelyn the ruby in case of an emergency, and this, the young monk thought, definitely qualified. Fire! The remainder of the Windrunner's voyage passed uneventfully, and the ship arrived at Pimeneniquet a full 3 days earlier than expected. At the time specified by the charts, Evelyn and Thorgrain rowed ashore, while Quintal forced the captain to sail far away from the island. He and his crew were forbidden to see the glory of what was to come. For their part, Evelyn and Thorgrain took shelter in one of the island's small caves, where they waited. The days passed. The shower should have started by now. It will, soon. No, it won't. Don't you understand, Evelyn? It's not real. None of this is real. The old tomes do not lie. How do you even know? 7 generations and we're to get here within a week of the showers. What if the Abbey's calculations are off by a month or a year? Are we expected to stay huddled in this hole all that time? Calm yourself, Thorgrain. Hold fast your faith in Father Abbot Marquardt and God. To the pit of hell with Father Abbot Marquardt and with God! Evelyn couldn't bear to watch, nor could he bear to look away as the fiery rocks streaked down, punishing the very ground of Pimeneniquet. The storm intensified as the night went on, rocky rain pounding the island, battering the ground above Evelyn's hole so forcefully that the monk feared it would collapse. But then, as abruptly as it began, the deluge ended, and the skies cleared quickly to a deep blue. Evelyn knew he should bury Thorgrain, but he didn't have time. The young monk had but a few hours to select the most powerful stones before they lost their magic. Evelyn found many treasures that day, perfect hematites and flawless rubies, but the most intriguing was the huge amethyst, which had killed Thorgrain and pulsed with divine might in Evelyn's hands. That night, Evelyn treated the stones with special oils, which would allow them to keep their power. The next morning, he rode back to the Windrunner, leaving Pimeniniquid behind, ready for the long journey home.